In the quietude of twilight, Jessie Choi stands before her childhood home, a sprawling Victorian swallowed by ivy. The air here is thick with humidity and the scent of wet earth, as if the very ground weeps. A symphony of crickets serenades the decaying neighborhood, their song punctuated by the distant rumble of a passing truck, a sound that never quite fades away. Jessie's fingers trace the familiar grooves of the doorbell, now worn smooth like an old prayer bead. She hesitates, her heart pounding in her chest like a trapped bird. This house has been empty for years, but tonight, she feels a breath on her neck, a whisper at her ear. Come home, Jessie. She pushes open the heavy door with a creak that echoes through the hollow halls. The air inside is stagnant, tainted by the smell of old paper and dust, the scent of forgotten memories. Her footsteps echo softly as she steps into the dim light filtering through the stained glass window, each footfall marking time against the ticking of an unseen clock. The kitchen is a graveyard of abandoned appliances, their faces blank and lifeless. Jessie runs her fingers along the countertops, feeling the smooth, cold surface beneath the thin layer of dust. She imagines her mother here, laughing as she kneaded dough on this very counter, but the sound never comes. Instead, there's a faint rustling in the corner, like paper rubbing against itself. Jessie turns, her eyes widening as she sees it, a single sheet of paper, yellowed with age, fluttering gently despite the lack of breeze. It dances alone, suspended in mid-air, then floats towards her before settling at her feet. She picks it up, her hands trembling slightly. It's a recipe for chocolate cake, her mother's handwriting, neat and precise. For my dearest Jessie, it reads, who loves sweets but cannot have them. Below that, scrawled in a different hand, are the words, why don't you make this for me? Jessie's breath catches in her throat as she realizes she doesn't recognize the second handwriting. She turns around slowly, scanning the room. Something is off, besides the dancing paper and the strange note. There's an emptiness here that wasn't present before. A void where something should be. But what? Jessie climbs the creaking staircase, each step echoing ominously in the silence. The air grows colder as she ascends. The scent of old paper replaced by something sharper, more pungent, a copper tang that reminds her of blood. She pauses outside her childhood bedroom, her heart pounding in her ears. The door is slightly ajar, just enough for her to see the dim outline of furniture within, furniture that shouldn't be there. She pushes the door open, revealing a room frozen in time, her twin bed with its faded pink comforter, her bookshelf crammed with dog, eared novels. Her desk piled high with yellowed papers. But it's not empty. Sitting at her desk is a figure, hunched over a stack of papers, her papers, essays she wrote for school, stories she'd hidden from her mother's disapproving gaze. The figure doesn't turn around as Jessie enters, but its shoulders shake slightly, as if laughing. Jessie approaches cautiously, her eyes scanning the pages strewn across the desk. They're filled with a sprawling, chaotic handwriting, her own,
but changed somehow.
like a reflection seen through shattered glass. She reaches out to touch them, but hesitates, her fingers hovering over the ink. Suddenly, the figure turns around. It's Jessie, or rather, a version of her, pale and gaunt, with dark circles around eyes that burn with an intensity she doesn't recognize. This other Jessie grins at her, revealing teeth stained red with blood. "You shouldn't have come back," it says, its voice echoing unnaturally in the small room. "But now that you're here..." "We can finally have a proper feast." Jessie stumbles backwards, her heart pounding wildly. This isn't right. None of this is. She turns to run, but the door slams shut behind her, sealing them both inside. Trapped in her room, Jessie watches in horror as the other Jessie begins to consume her words, tearing pages from notebooks, swallowing them whole until blood trickles down its chin. The scent of iron fills the air, choking her, making it difficult to breathe. She backs away, her eyes scanning the room desperately for something, anything she can use to escape. But there's nothing here but memories and madness. She's about to turn and throw herself against the door when she sees it, a small, dusty book tucked behind a stack of papers on her bookshelf. It's an old cookbook, its spine worn smooth by her mother's fingers. As she pulls it out, she feels something shift inside, a whisper of paper, a rustle of memory. She opens it carefully, revealing pages filled with recipes written in her mother's neat handwriting. But there's one recipe that stands out, its margins filled with annotations in that same chaotic script she saw on her papers. "For my dearest Jessie," it reads, "who loves sweets but cannot have them." Below that, in her own handwriting, "I will not let you starve." As the other Jessie approaches her, teeth bared in a snarl, Jessie understands. This wasn't about hunger, it was about control. About proving who could withstand what. And now, she knows how to end it. She steps forward, meeting the other Jessie's gaze directly. "I made you this," she says, holding out the cookbook open to the annotated recipe. "It's your favorite." The other Jessie freezes, its eyes flicking down to the page. Then, slowly, it begins to smile. It reaches out, taking the book from Jessie's hands, and as it does, Jessie lunges forward, knocking them both to the ground. She lands on top of the other Jessie, pinning it down with her knees on its shoulders. She can feel its heartbeat against hers, rapid and panicked. Then, she leans down, pressing her lips to its ear. "Too bad you won't get to taste it," she whispers. And then, everything goes silent. The clock stops ticking. The crickets fall still. Even the breath in Jessie's lungs seems to pause as she waits for what comes next. When Jessie finally lifts her head, she finds herself alone in the room. The other Jessie is gone, leaving behind nothing but empty space and echoes of memories. She climbs off the floor, her body aching as if she's been fighting for hours instead of mere moments. She turns to leave, her hand reaching for the door handle when she notices something strange. The lock has been replaced with a small plaque bearing an inscription. "In loving memory of Jessie Choi, who loved sweets but could not have them." Below that, in her own handwriting, "Here lies the truth about our feast." Jessie's breath catches in her throat as she realizes what this means, what it implies. She turns away from the door, her eyes scanning the room one last time. Then, she smiles. Because now, finally, they're both free. But as she leaves the house behind, she can't shake the feeling that something is still watching her, waiting for her. Hungry again. And this time, it knows exactly where to find her.